Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very good day, dear students. I am Mrs. Rozina Shariq, your English teacher. I welcome you in my online lesson of English. Dear students, I hope you all are fine and fit and completing your English assignments you are receiving every week through PDF and online lesson. Today's topic has been selected from Progressive Book 7. It is from Unit number 3, London. It is a story of Guy Fawkes. Topic is History as Story, Guy Fawkes, The Treason and Gunpowder Plot 1605. Dear student, it is clear from the topic that this lesson is about a story. Story of Guy Fawkes, story of the treason and story of the Gunpowder Plot 1605. That story is very much interesting. That story consists of 7 detailed paragraphs about the cause of treason, about the Guy Fawkes, about the plotting of conspirators, detail about how they hired a building near the House of Parliament, how they dug the tunnel and found a vault, then about how they smuggled 36 barrels of gunpowder there, and finally about the exposing of plot and execution of the conspirators. So for your better understanding of the story, I have written some main points and then I will discuss every point in detail to make the story more clear to you. So these main points are: cause of the treason, number 2, introduction of Guy Fawkes, number 3, Gunpowder Plot 1605, and then summary of the lesson. Now come to the cause of the treason, reason of the treason. Roman Catholicism and Protestantism are two different forms of Christianity which became bitter rivals in the early 17th century. In 1603, James I became King of England. He was not a Catholic, but he was persuaded by Protestant Parliament to introduce new laws against the Catholics, which upset the Catholics. So, in 1604, a group of English Catholics started plotting against their Protestant government. Plotting was started because the Catholics were suppressed by the Protestant government. Next is introduction of Guy Fawkes. Who was Guy Fawkes? Guy Fawkes was actually the main character of the story. Guy Fawkes was brought up a Protestant in Yorkshire. His mother married second time to a Roman Catholic and Guy Fawkes converted to Roman Catholicism. Guy Fawkes gained an honorable military reputation during his stay in Spanish army. In those days, his old friend Thomas Winter met him and offered him a job for an explosive man, and this time the target was Parliament, the king and all his ministers in the opening session of Parliament. That was the introduction of Guy Fawkes. Then next is Gunpowder Plot 1605. What was the plot? Plot to blow Parliament House had been already made when Guy Fawkes joined. Conspirators met at the house of Robert Catesby. Catesby knew that King James would gather with all his lords and ministers for the state opening of Parliament in the Lord's Chamber of the Palace of Westminster, and the plan was to blow the Parliament with 36 barrels of gunpowder. This was their plan. This was their plot. Now, for your better understanding of the story, I have summarize 7 paragraphs of the story. So the summary of the story is: this treason resulted from the severe oppression of Catholics in the early 17th century in England. Catholics had expected King James I to be more lenient, but they were mistaken. King was persuaded by Protestant government to oppress the Catholics. To stop the oppression, a small group of Catholics men plotted to blow up the House of Lords on November 5, 1605, in the state opening session of Parliament, when James and his lords and ministers would be inside. So, led by Robert Catesby, they rented a house next to the chambers of Parliament and smuggled 36 barrels of gunpowder into the cellar of the House of Lords. The most famous conspirator and explosive expert, Guy Fawkes, who lived in the rented house as John Johnson's, had to light the fire. A warning letter exposed the plot, and Guy Fawkes was caught before he could act. Guy Fawkes was arrested and sent to Tower of London and tortured until he gave the name of other conspirators and admitted himself Guy Fawkes. All involved were executed in various ways. Dear students, I hope you will find this story interesting. After the lesson, after listening the lesson, you open your books and read the story, and then again listen to my summary. And your activity is, you have to write down the summary of the story in your own words. And kindly, after writing the summary of the story, you send me your images through WhatsApp. So for your comprehension, I have made the notes of the lesson. Notes includes vocabulary and question answers, which I will send you as in PDF through WhatsApp. Hope you will find this story interesting, and I'm waiting for your feedback, dear students. Allah Hafiz.